Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Morning Meta. I am yours truly, Travis Spencer.
I'm Camilla Crawley.
Camilla, we have a wonderful guest today.
I'm really excited. Yes.
Yes, yes. So,
So, before we get started, I always have to remind everyone about the themes that are informing our practice for this season. The first theme is awakening and new beginnings, cultivating self awareness, and embracing opportunities to start anew. Second theme is renewal and growth, reimagining life with clarity and focus. And the third theme is blooming and becoming, intention setting and manifesting. So, those are our themes. And now I'm ready to get started with our wonderful guest today.
yes, yes, our wonderful guest. Um, I met her several years ago at a team retreat in California. It was a very interesting team retreat. Uh, I think I'm making light of it. That was very, very interesting. And from that point on, we have done such wonderful spiritual work together. We've done retreats in Washington. Um, and so the person that I'm talking to has this wonderful, wonderful spiritual practice. Her name is B, and we're here to learn from her today. You know, so with no more delay, I want her to share what she would like for you guys to know about her. But so B,
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, y'all, for having me. Travis and Camilla, this is really beautiful. It's wonderful to see and hear and be a part of this intention that you all have set for some time since I've known you. It's inspiring when we set an intention, follow through, and keep it going. So may this work continue to be a blessing to so many in Morning Metta.
Thank
So
you.
my name is B. Anderson. I actually use they and them pronouns. And I was born in Buffalo, New York, to a Jamaican father and a mother from Mississippi, both with indigenous traditions and roots and cultures and both of those sides of my lineage. Um, and so, how I define indigeneity is that indigenous means you have a specific kind of relationship to the earth and the earth as spirit and an honoring of um, its aliveness and not just something we take from, but something that we also give to and we're in constant communication with. And so, in being raised like that, having this particular background, um, my life has looked like a lot of ceremony, a lot of ritual, a lot of community that's gathered around rivers and streams and mountains, um, but also mirrors this foundational practice that is the Dhamma, that is Buddhism. I remember one of my teachers in the Soto Zen tradition would say, we have gotten so far away from teaching the indigenous roots of this practice. Buddha walking on the earth is indigenous. Buddha sitting and watching the cows and understanding true enlightenment is indigenous. There's this way of this practice that has been westernized, so that these particular really important teachings that also come from traditions like Hinduism, right? The cultures that taught Buddha can sometimes be, or more often, be missed. The offering and making of a mandala in the Tibetan tradition, the many deities that are offered and honored and poured into in various schools of Buddhism. These are similar to how and in what way I was raised and what I understood is possible. And these might not have been direct, right? My mother, for example, in our home, loved collecting dolls. And in my bedroom in particular, she had a curio that was filled with dolls. There were several of these dolls that had ancestor names. That in particular, I see as an indigenous practice. You are keeping the spirit alive of that particular ancestor by making something tangible in physical form that you continue to see and honor and speak to and be with. Right, the same way I would go to a Buddha and make offerings, or the same way that I see my community, my native family and tradition, the way that we engage and interact with our animal relatives. And so that is a big part of who I am as B. Anderson. I don't just carry that name, I also carry the name now of a priest. Beatrice, Omo Beatrice, Ifayemi, Efunche, Ogunfemi, Ifatola, Fabalasi, Fabalasi, Ifatola, Sabi, Fabalasi, Alkambi. I have lots of names. And that is a extension of that indigenous wisdom that is from West Africa, Nigeria, Yoruba people, and yeah, a very big part of what has been my life and practice. I think the last part and piece that I'll share, and why I'm sharing all of that with you, is because that's the lens to which I practice, and that is the commitment that I made some years ago, when I began my practice, my contemplative practice in the Dhamma. I was working then as, God, I was doing lots of things, but I was teaching at Brooklyn Zen Center. I was the director of the youth mindfulness program there at the Brooklyn Zen Center. I was working with IB Me. I had the pleasure of doing some talks and things at different places. And it started to hit me that I was so deeply grateful for the traditions of our South Asian, Asian, East Asian, Southeast Asian family and community that have held this practice. And I was missing and experiencing in real time, I was missing specifically African embodied people know that their practices too are contemplative. And it was really getting to me, to be honest with you. I felt a sense of personal, without us knowing, we were personally erasing ourselves and allowing that to continue to happen inside of this canon of mindfulness. I liken mindfulness to the experience of a grandmother sitting on their porch in Mississippi, rocking specifically Mississippi, right? Rocking their body back and forth, that somatic based practice that we now teach about in the Dharma, right? That is not just that, but it's also used when we're talking about, neurodivergency and how we work with neurodivergency and anxiety disorder and all kinds of things. That those particular methodologies that were built in the natural way of being for so many of our people who were moving through deep trauma associated with existing on this hemisphere of the planet, right? That they weren't seen and or they weren't getting lifted or acknowledged or appreciated or known even or celebrated or reflected back to us so that we too know that we are these deeply peaceful, powerful, contemplative people. Um, so that started me on a path outside of the Dharma into Ifa. That started me on a path outside of the Dharma more deeply into my native roots here through my Choctaw tradition. That started me on a path through my Maroon tradition in Jamaica. It started me on ways of helping others and myself reclaim their alignment to our traditions that spoke to who we are, that can help us reclaim our time, as Mama Maxie would say, that help us reclaim our spirit, that help us reclaim our peace, that help us reclaim our grounded, our centeredness, that help us reclaim the power of what can even be our emotion, our anger, how we channel that, how we use it in ways that are beneficial. Our movement, our dance, our song, all of these practices, but to really reclaim our medicine to help us become in better alignment with what will sustain us as a people. And that has everything to do with our relationship to the earth, everything to do with our relationship to ancestors and our practices, everything to do with, yeah, relationship and community. So that is what I eventually became the director of, is Reclaiming Alignment, which is the gathering where I met Travis. and I got to meet you both and spend time with you. And yeah, that's the work that I continue to do for organizers of color, for people of color, but communities beyond that as well. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes. Beautiful.
What a journey, right?
Hmm.
Oh,
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm listening to you, B, and often when Travis and I talk about I am, we say, oh, healing, it's healing centered, right? It's about healing centeredness, well being, and connection. And now I'm really connecting this idea of healing, which we've said is, coming back into balance, and really starting to use and interchange the word alignment a lot more. So for
Mhm.
you, two things. If you could define from your perspective or point of view, those two words, defining healing, what's your definition
Mhm.
of healing? And then also, what does alignment mean to you as well?
Thank you for that. Mm. Mm. I think healing really comes closer to feeling like repair.
Mm.
Um, and out of repair, so much can happen. Um, Repair can create transformation. Repair can create conclusion. Repair can create new possibility. Um, Repair can create remembrance. There's so much that repair can do. And I equate healing to that. You know, when there's a break in the chain, you heal it, you
Mm.
close it to see what wants to happen next, right? So much can happen after that. But that the idea of repair is, I think, what I think about when I mean healing. Um, yeah. So I'll say that. I'll say that. And then when I think of alignment, which is God, so reclaiming alignment, the name itself, and also then the intention, the initiative, which was this space for healing, repair across our ties and roots to our traditions, reclaiming, remembering those things, that space was meant for us to yeah, I mean, the name and the space were given to me by my ancestors, particularly my maternal ancestors, the mothers, and then my grandmother on my father's side. So they were encouraging and wanting, and believe it or not, it was during in the midst of COVID in 2021, no, 2020, 2021, 2020, when this came through a reading. But there was this desire to have this done, to create this space of remembrance, of repair, of reconnection, of reclamation, amidst a pandemic, amidst this time when we're experiencing the epidemic of systemic trauma against Black and Brown bodies, when so many things are happening, that there was this desire, because I was getting a lot of messages from young people, especially who were on front lines, but who were houseless, who
Mm.
were suicidal, who were unable to feed themselves. So they're doing all of this work for something they envisioned, but they have no capacity to be able to do any of it. Their
Mm.
basic needs aren't being met. There's no foundation for them to stand on,
Mm.
and so this there's no they're not sure how to heal themselves, their connection to herbalism and medicine and basic things that I deem as basic, right? Because for a people at some point these were basic things, right? But those basic things, these basic teachings, these basic resources were not there, and reclaiming alignment was this ode to figuring out how to help people remember, how to find them, how to honor that they have that, how to build it within community, etc. So alignment to me in this case means a lot of different things. how I heard it, how I understand it, how I know myself now to have experienced it, both in witnessing others from ages 18 to 75, through this program, through these gatherings, is that alignment is alignment to one's truth. You're bringing yourself back into balance with what is your truth. What is your destiny? What is your purpose? Yes. But also, what is my truth? What am I feeling right now? What's actually happening in this body? What's actually real for me that I haven't expressed? What's actually a basic support and need that I have that I haven't received that I need to ask for? How do I reclaim my power to be able to do that? Right? How do I realign to my source of value? So realignment, or alignment, I should say, alignment is so many things, but it definitely is that coming back into balance with one's truth. And that yeah, I wish for all of our world to have that ability. I think we would find a very different outcome. Yeah.
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 Thank you for that. I love that.
It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Mhm.
Well, you've already given us so much to like marinate on, um, because we're gonna hand it right back over to you for some more. But
Yeah.
you definitely have already filled the plate, for
Mhm.
us.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
we want to hand it back over for you to just share what is on your heart and mind these
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. And again, thank you both for having me. And, I think I can segue it from this idea of what is healing, what is this place of repair, and what is this place of finding and rebalancing ourselves to what is true. Um, and I think that process, part of what we do at Reclaiming Alignment is we take folks on a grief walk, a grief journey, a grief ceremony.
Hmm.
If you're in Monotahoma, in Seattle and Pacific Northwest, that's where we were doing this in partnership with our land steward friends there at Ayeko Farm. They live within, an hour's proximity to Monotahoma or Mount Rainier. And it was divine that we would go on a walk and pilgrimage there. And then while we were there, we would go through a grief ceremony, allowing these big, incredible elders, these mountains, to hear us and hold us, but also for us to hear them. And so this process of reclaiming oneself, this process of remembering oneself, this process of hearing one's truth, this process sometimes requires something so large as a mountain to sit beside or lay against, to feel supported and encouraged enough to know that we can reclaim it, that truth is of value. And then this feeling of being able to trust that alignment, right? Like to trust that that's there. Like, again, that ability to be able to do that, I think also there's so much um that we have to let go and release inside of that work.
Mhm.
Right? I don't know about y'all, but I have witnessed the many bees that have happened over the years that have been a byproduct of trying to survive, that may have meant that I have agreed to or have become some things that are not my truth.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
And that process, that reclaiming one's alignment process, that healing and repair process requires space and time for me to hear that, and also for me to put it down, put down what is in out of alignment. Go to the river or the creek that we do during that gathering, and we make offering, and we ask, and we clear and cleanse ourselves to reclaim a sense of, a grounding of who we are. So the part of this work is grief, is being with grief. Part of this work is grieving and experiencing the loss of the selves that we have been, to experience the loss of whatever in our life, to acknowledge that there is a big aspect of this thing called life that is grief. It is a consistent presence, I think, actually. And ability to balance and be with it or find equanimity inside of it is a part of the journey and the work. But I think it's always here. I think that that's what Buddha was talking about when we were talking about suffering and the presence of suffering. Um, there's always an aspect of a tree that is living and dying at the same time. It's just a part of nature. But how much time we spend on being with that dying supports the living. And I didn't quite understand that fully for myself until recently. um, my mother elevated or transitioned very recent within the last couple of months after an incredible but very deep 4 years of moving through kidney disease and dementia and just her journey. So passing at 87 into this new initiation as this ancestor. Um, Being with her on this path has been such a process of healing through grief. And, having 4 years to watch a decline is different than 4 weeks. I will name that. 4 hours for some who it happens so suddenly, you don't think it's going to happen, and then it happens, right? And so, what that 4 years allowed myself and my siblings to do is be reborn and die over and over again inside of the nature of our relationship with our mother in ways that were unexpected. So we were constantly grieving alongside her and in every and all of her truth. And we had moments of continuous hope and possibility and inspiration and being in awe of the human spirit and the body over and over and over again. That rebirth, right? That pouring back in. And so we watched our mother, much like a tree, go through these seasons and ourself go through these seasons of grief in a way that I think is so paramount to what I think our world experiences all the time. And the intentionality around how we focus on it is something I think I want to share. How we pay attention to that, how we give it space and room, how we tether it, right, between moving in and out of it, right, not staying and getting stuck or stagnant, but the necessity of being able to allow ourselves to touch into something has been lost is such an important part of us truly being able to see and build towards the vision of our future and our world for generations that we desire. There are shoulders of people, of ancestors now that all three of us are standing on. And I will posit all of this world is standing on. There are shoulders of good and well ancestors from every tradition, culture, and race of people that have done something in big and small ways to move us closer to freedom and liberation, to move us closer to right alignment as a people, to the truth that we are love, that has moved us closer to being inside of this beautiful divine nature that we all have. There's been some ancestor. And so the opportunity, one, for us to just acknowledge and recognize that the grief is not a stopping point, but it's a continuation of possibility, right? Their transition allowed our living. So I'm encouraging that in these moments, in these times, and I was sharing this earlier before we started, that when we're seeing for Turtle Island or the United States, when we're seeing our democracy, elements of our democracy die, elements of these beautiful, hard-earned, blood, sweat, and tear, actions that have been made to ensure that there is equality for our people, for all people,
Mhm.
that we're seeing those shift in instant, that we really take the time to be with that change and to recognize and look over your shoulder that it's no longer just us that's bemoaning or grieving that change.
Mhm.
There are so many types of people that are witnessing ah, the feeling of that hurt or sadness around what we have all collectively felt is a growth towards this freedom and liberation kind of being like really impacted negatively. We're
Mhm.
all feeling that. And so inside of our grief, we're not alone. And that is a beautiful thing to witness. I wasn't by myself, I was with my sisters. I was with my nieces and nephews. I was with my brothers. I was with my mother. I was not alone inside of this process. A very traditional indigenous thing is that we don't grieve by ourselves, we grieve together.
Mhm.
It is not in isolation. And the importance of doing that, right, is so that when we are by ourselves in moments, because we'll feel it, that we always have someone to help us move us through and pull us out. And that we always have this ability to be able to experience the other side in a greater number. So, for example, when my mother passed, I heard and I felt and I remembered my mom wants us to dance.
Mhm.
So my sister called all the people who have in Atlanta been supporting her and my family and my mother over the years. They called her beloved friends, and we had a dance party before we even had her funeral.
Mhm.
It was probably the most beautiful, odd, incredible, humbling experience I've ever had. It was an opportunity for me to not shy away from the truth of how I felt. It was the opportunity for uh, us to let our community know that we deeply appreciate their support and their care, and we're going to keep needing them. It was our opportunity to lift this ancestor and to know that we're going to be all right. It was the opportunity to say, job well done. It was the opportunity for us to cry together.
Mhm.
It was such a powerful medicine. And so, in this time, not only that we're experiencing this change in democracy, we're seeing a change in our planet, the climate grief. We're seeing a change in the sovereignty of the people in different parts of this world. We're seeing so many things, so much we can grieve over. To know that we are not alone and in isolation, but we are very much together, and that together is widening across culture, across race, across gender, across socioeconomic background, is the gift of knowing that the future is going to be that much brighter. Because that is a powerful, that's a mass, that's a huge group of folks that are feeling it.
Yeah. Mm.
And that is not to be, just to close, that is not to be taken lightly. So my request and recommendation now, because we danced, we moved through the grief. We didn't keep it stagnant in the body. We did the electric slide, we did all kinds of things, right? We shake those hips. And yes, we did it in moments saying her name, and we stopped and paused and took some tears and ate some food and hugs each other and kept it going.
Mm.
That movement of that together, moving together with one another in this way, will help create new possibilities. Will help to release and create space in the body for new life to be born, new energy, new. I would say, like, it gave me a sense of um, yeah, just it supported me and gave me another battery pack to keep going, to get through the funeral and to get through the planning and to get through the things that are inevitable part of this process of death and rebirth, right? But so yeah, I will just offer, like, in this time, movement, really, please don't get stuck in sitting and just watching and doom scrolling. Don't just sit there and, listen to the television. Don't just sit and read, but actually, like, go for a walk, be with community, get into your body, if even just a little bit, even if you're rocking from side to side on your bed and tears are flowing, move the energy in the body. The water in the body needs to be moved.
Yeah.
It's holding the emotion. You have to move it. It's not just through crying. It has to physically be, you have to physically move it. The other day I recorded myself doing movement because, my ancestors and Orisha told me it's time to move. And I haven't done my dance practice in years, since 2023. And I was incredibly rusty. It did not matter, because what I was so clear about was this was a practice of a grief ritual.
Hmm.
So it felt and sounded different in my body. I picked very specific music about ancestors, right? And so I could still stay in ceremony with what was happening with my grief or being with my mother. But I was allowing the body, the somatics of the body, to tell me, no, move here because this is where it's stuck, and move your hips because this is what's happening, right? And so I just will encourage, please do not underestimate the power of dance, of movement. Don't see it just as the thing that's supposed to bring happiness and joy. It can actually help you process through some sadness and heartache. Um, and it can open up possibility. So also after that, eating good food, something that tastes good, makes you feel good, something sweet, something enjoyable. Yes, I encourage it, not of access, but it is a part of also that ability to nourish oneself. My mother was a wonderful cook. Nourish yourselves, rest, the taking pause. I was told by my Ifa, sit down for 20 minutes and do nothing and then go dance. Having structured time to just allow the body to metabolize what you might not be able to hear, but
Mhm.
it can hear, is incredibly beneficial. Incredibly beneficial. And then, yeah, I'll say the final thing is to really, again, not underestimate the idea, not to really challenge the idea that you're alone in your grief, because you're
Okay.
not. You absolutely are not. So reach out, be in conversation, ask for some support. Um, but know that there's somebody nearby that either knows what you're going through or is willing to hold you.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I hope that that's useful, but that's just present for me, very much so at this time in my life. And talking about it is helpful for me. So thank you for giving me the chance to do that.
Hmm.
Thank,
Yeah.
thank you.
I-
Well, thank you.
yes. You've given us quite a bit to marinate on.
Yes.
Um, I love the idea. I was able to visualize as you were talking about the tree, and as one part is dying, the other part is living, you know. And what I begin thinking about is um, when someone is releasing an old way of life, uh,
Mm,
thinking about someone who may have been dealing with, say, depression, and now they're beginning to move in a way that they are taking care of themselves and taking care of
mm,
that depression. My question to you is does anything come up for you when you begin to, when you think about someone who is moving outside of depression, and it could be related to grief or whatever in their life, but what does it look like to begin to embrace life after something like
mm, Whew. It's a good question. So I'll use myself. My mother passed on March 12th. And it is May 8th. And only 2 days ago, I was ready to put her picture on my altar, which is something that I do in my tradition. What does that point to? One, it has to take its own time. It has to take its own time, and I have to move with grace with myself. Two, I reached out to someone because I started to realize I'm getting stuck. So now I need to have some grief support. Three, once I got to the other side, well, getting to the other side or opening the door to moving into the space of knowing that of living, etc. In sort of comparison to what you're sharing, is that I was willing to face it. I was gently willing to turn towards the truth of what was there. And it actually happened through a text message. I had, someone text me, the hospice nurse text me on the same thread where I'd sent videos of my mother's, last hours to make sure to figure out where she was and what she needed. And she happened to text me something completely unrelated on this thread. And so now I'm going back to see what, because I didn't save her number. Who is this person? And so I had to scroll up and see images and videos I hadn't looked at in weeks and months, right? And it just showed me, ooh, I froze. I am not yet ready to let go. Not ready to let you integrate into being my ancestor. I'm not there. And it can take as long as it needs to. So I paused. I took a day, sat with it, sat with her, talked to my mama. And then I said, okay, now I'm going to turn towards it. So I went back to those same pictures and slowly, one by one, for as little bit of time as I could, I turned towards the truth. I turned towards acceptance. And I was able to then, in that posture, have a different range of seeing, right? I could see a different perspective. Literally, I turned towards something else. That turning towards acceptance gave me a whole new playing field. I was over here the whole time. I don't want to see it. Nope, not for me. But as soon as I turn towards seeing something else, now I see a completely different spectrum. I have both in my other view, the reality of that heartache. I also have the possibility and the feeling in my body of what happens. I'm okay. I'm still here. I'm safe. You're still here with me. Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm slowly seeing other parts of where this life can lead. And she's never left me. She's still here. Right. And so I think for us who are moving out of that space of depression, or who are moving out of this time of some shadow, or out of a space of grief, I think it's the feeling of turning towards the rest of one's life and doing that in such a way that it's happens at your own speed and time, with your own choosing, your own desire, your own knowing that this is your own choice, because there's a value to choosing that. But to really choosing into that, and then allowing yourself to slowly, at your own pace, see more of what's in view. Keep turning towards more of the possibility. And it looks like, not necessarily, because there are times I'm going to come back to that other side and having grace with myself inside of that. But if I were to rush this process, I'll be back here sooner than I think.
Yes.
If I truly take my time, if I choose for myself, if I stop judging the fact that I'm depressed, stop judging the fact that I'm grieving, I am depressed. That happens when I have the desire to be in grace with where I am. Yeah, I'm depressed. Okay, cool. Second step. How do I feel about this? Oh, I can feel like this. It gets to the point where I'm feeling something and I'm feeling like I don't want to keep being here. Oh, okay. I'm choosing to do something different. I want something else. I am choosing to take the first step to seeing what else is possible. I may completely still be in disbelief. I still feel that tug. My heart still aches, but I'm going to choose, and I'm going to choose with all the fear and all the doubt and all the everything. that decision that you make to choose, and then that first step opens the doorway to everything else.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I answered your question, but I can just say that, like, what is possible is on the other side of that.
Yes.
But those steps right there, you know, that the and the quality that we step into that
Mhm.
is really everything. Yeah.
Yes. And yes, you answered. Very
Absolutely.
much.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I love the question and everything that you shared, B, because I can 100%
Mhm.
resonate with what you shared. It's very
Mhm.
similar to my experience. And you talked about this, that I'm thinking about for someone like me who experienced grief and at the same time didn't necessarily know that's what it was, because
Mhm.
if you're in an environment where the people around you may not have been taught or given space for that, um,
Yeah.
then the grief becomes a masking. So the grief is masked as depression, is masked as anger, is masked as all these other
Yes.
things,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then it can turn into dis-ease, like literally, you know,
Yep.
in
Yep.
the body and things like
Yep.
that. And so my experience has been with that,
Yes.
getting to a point where something that seemed really simple to me happening
Mhm. Mhm.
in terms of a loss, it became this like,
Yes.
and so then
Yes.
that was the moment when it was like, okay, wait, something else is going on here, you know.
Mhm.
So um,
Yes.
just sharing that and thinking about
Thank you.
some in our community who have been
Mm,
because of the
mm,
history of a lot of us in this country, our lineage in this
mhm,
country, coming out
mhm.
of enslavement.
Yep,
A lot of that conditioning was, look, we got to survive. So if
that's
I'm
correct.
feeling this and I'm feeling that,
I can't keep going.
yeah, I need to kind of just like push it down. I need it to be
Yep,
over there
yep,
because we have to make
yep,
it to the next day. So
yep,
now that pattern over
Mhm.
time shows up.
yep.
So would you say, in terms of speaking to that, some similar things that you've already shared? Like, so if it's this situation where um, we don't even really have that awareness that this is really what's happening. I'm grieving the loss of, you know, relationship, a job, a
Yep,
part of, like
yep.
Travis was saying, even deciding to do something different with your own being, like that can be a loss
Mhm,
too. I'm not
mhm.
really understanding or having that awareness of that. This is also a part of grief, and I may be fearful because I never really had this space to just kind of be with it. So like, what does it mean? Like,
Absolutely.
oh my God, be with it. Then am I going to like start crying
Thank
and
you.
like not be able to stop? You know, like,
Yeah,
so
thank
what
you.
would you speak? How would you speak to that from that sort of like socio historical kind of context?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I think it's really responsible for us to be with that. Um, so I'm going to use the voters' rights as an example. Read something else today about Virginia losing its ability to support having more House seats, and the way in which gerrymandering and or these ways that the current administration is creating regulatory systems that are positioning especially Black and brown folks into not being able to vote and or vote for candidates they want, or their votes not counting, and really limiting our voice, limiting all of what our people have done, and not just our people have fought for. So that feeling of seeing that this morning, similar to what you shared, and seeing it yesterday and seeing it over the last couple of days, the feeling in my body was tension.
Mm,
Mm.
There we go.
Mhm.
I don't know what is going on there,
Yeah,
but
for a sec.
Mhm.
uh-huh. But I could feel a sense of tension going down the center of my body. And I felt kind of almost ancestrally, I heard, yeah, and we gonna keep going.
Hmm.
Well, it's you already know. That's how it happens. What we gonna do about that? Let's keep. There was this very quick voice that was the yeah, and keep moving, but it's actually still with my body. That feeling, nothing's changed in my body at all around that feeling of around that tension around whatever it is. I don't even have to put language to what it was. I just know it didn't feel good.
Hmm.
And the moment of pausing just to be with that, yeah, it can seem, especially for us, it can seem like a privilege that we may or may not be able to afford to stop and be with that physical sensation in the body. It also may be something that is incredibly painful to even consider doing
Mhm.
because of all that's connected to it, right? Like that sense of grief isn't just my own. That's connected to so many of us. So that's ancestral grief. That's lineage. And if I sit there too long, it's also going to connect to my children.
Mm.
Mhm.
Yes.
So it does have a different sense of weight for us. No lie. It has a very different sense of weight. And we experience it. Thank you for the dis-ease. We experience it in the form of disease. There are certain hereditary genetic diseases that we experience as African bodied folks in this country that are, and not just this country, that have been shipped and bussed and sailed to so many other countries because of that systemic trauma, that generational trauma that are the byproduct of the feeling that we can't pause to be with and release and let go.
Mhm.
So again, going back to that communal sense of grieving,
Mhm.
for us, it's so important to know we're not alone
Hmm.
because it actually can truly give us, I believe, the courage and the trust to know that if I one tap out for a moment, someone truly has my back.
Hmm.
We need to know that. And so the biggest challenge, I think, and the biggest work that we get to do right now is really building with our community and our neighbors and knowing that this time requires not that we continue towards individualism, that we really regain our sense of community because, yes, we do. Some of us need to pause for a minute and tap out. We absolutely do for the sustainability of our people. We do need that moment to say, actually, hold on, I need to be with what's here because it's getting too much. And the collective being able to now choose to say, yes, do that, helps us to build that individual courage to make that pause. The rest ministry, this beautiful nap ministry that came out, that was that collective encouragement to say, stop, you're okay. I got you. We got you. This beautiful podcast is that opportunity to say, stop, you deserve it. We got you. So just knowing that we're doing this not in isolation, y'all, is that first opportunity, that right? That looking around yourself, you're not alone.
Hmm.
You're not alone. And so if it means also that you're not alone, that means it's a real thing. This is real. Sometimes we need a litmus test to know this is a real. Nah, because I'll say, nah, I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm fine. Look across your desk. Check on the other side of the bus.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look in your text messages. Look on your social media. You're not alone. It's a
Hmm.
thing. So just the affirmation that what you're feeling, I want to first myself and the three of us just to affirm it's real.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, it's real.
it is absolutely real.
It's real. And so all I can do right now is just breathe with that. I just took a breath for my damn self. Excuse me. I took a breath for myself.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes.
Hmm.
Mm, because
Yeah,
it
you.
sometimes feels too much in the body. Sorry, go ahead, T.
Oh no, I was just going to say you're speaking to the heart of
Yeah.
what I believe is going to support us in making it through this
Mm-hmm.
shift that's happening. You know, um, Camilla shared. It was Dr. Amos Wilson when he talked
Mm,
about examining
Oh
history
yeah.
to really
Hmm.
support us in the present moment.
yes,
There was a
yes,
old video clip,
yes.
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah.
So what you're saying to me is in that same vein and energy.
Hmm.
We must one acknowledge what we're going through. Two,
Yes,
come together and be with one another, experience it together. Um, and three, the other piece is looking at our, what did they do after Reconstruction at the beginning of Jim
Hmm.
Crow? What are the things that
mm,
we had in place to sustain us so that we make
that's
it
correct.
to where we are now?
That's
You know.
correct. And I think going back right to reclaiming alignment and that reclamation, that offering given by ancestors, that reclamation of our gifts and our tools. One of the things that I think of in a time when our people were experiencing the most grief, they did exactly the medicine that we still need today. I'm going to
Mhm.
suggest the ring shout. So the ring shout was this back house where folks would gather in the middle of the night because that's where they could, after being in the fields all day or in the plantation homes, and they would make sound with broom handles, and they would create a beat and circle. They would dance with each other over and over again, shuffling their feet, creating this rhythm to release, cry, yell, sing, to be able to get back up in the morning and do the
Mhm.
same thing over again.
Mm. Yeah,
Because their faith committed, they were committed to knowing this is not going to last. They were so audacious to imagine that it wouldn't last. They committed as a community to make the choice to spend time, take care, to keep going.
mm.
Not just to keep being in the fields and just being how they were. No, they collectively decided to move through so they could keep going because they knew this ain't gonna last. This is not gonna
Mhm.
last. Something is going to give.
Mhm.
And so again, movement, y'all. If you can, even if you out in a basketball court, that's movement. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like,
Hmm.
just move. You don't even have to know you're grieving. Just create a practice of movement. It could be as slow and as accessible to your body that you have.
Mhm.
Just being able to move your head up and down, utilizing the breath,
Mm.
Hmm. Yes, yes, yes.
right?
Yeah.
Whatever the subtle movement is, just allow this to come through and to know that you're deserving of that. And we're collectively encouraging each other to take care so that we can sustain, because this too shall pass.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I
Mhm.
have.
Thank you. And you gave us a lot.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the time, and I don't want to get these
Yes.
Yeah.
last few things in because I know we could go.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
looking at Travis. I know he's like kind of
Yeah.
like
I,
itching.
I I got some things coming up
I
for
know.
me.
I said 54:22. Okay, let's go.
um, but I really just want to highlight, in addition to what Travis was highlighting in terms of certain points, the one of the words that kept coming up over and over again is opportunity. So I want to highlight
Mm,
that word opportunity, that in your talk around grief and all the things, within all of it there's always opportunity. And like
Ashe.
you spoke so much about, in that opportunity, that's where your power is, because then you get to choose, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
other piece that you landed on about community, remembering that none of us are alone, and that
Yes.
that is the medicine. coming together, community, building that, reclaiming that, all of that.
Yes.
Just so much appreciation for you, B, and everything that you
Thank
share.
you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I want to get to our final part here where we do some sentence stems. I'm going to give you the first part of the sentence. Just let me know what is the first word that comes to mind to
Okay.
finish.
Okay.
Number one, healing in African American and African descendant communities looks like.
Togetherness.
All right.
Yes.
The second one is community to me looks like.
Love.
Mm.
And the final sentence stem is joy to me looks like.
Breath.
Mm.
Ah,
Being
Yes.
able to breathe, honey. Ashe.
Mhm.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any final?
Yeah. B. We're gonna talk off
Yeah.
camera after all is said and done, because I think that many of the things that you brought to the table today are things that we need in
Yeah.
order to prepare for what is to come and what is currently occurring. So I'm just so happy that you're on with us tonight. It's been a minute.
Me too.
Yes.
Me too. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much for, yeah, just inviting me to be able to share this. It feels really heart nourishing, and I feel warm down the center of my body. I'm grateful that we've made space for this, and yeah, and I really hope that this reaches whoever it needs to, and that the offering take what is for you and leave what is not. Not the three of us will feel no way.
Right.
Please know the intention is from the best of our intentions and our desire to offer and to just throw a pebble into the stream of change. So I really hope that yeah, this is an offering and a contribution to the beautiful work that y'all are doing here.
Absolutely. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. All right.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, everyone, don't forget to continue to join us each and every day where we're going to start with you all grounded, intentional, and connected.
Ashe.
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 Yes.